We come into July with a 5-point lead, but things could be about to get even busier as we embark on Europe. With 3 rounds to get through before the league phase, we could be playing 2 games a week for 2 months, which will test our squad depth to the limit. Can we maintain the high standard we've set so far, or will the strain begin to tell? Let's find out. Having been drawn against a team we put 7 past a few weeks before, hopes were high of a place in the last 8, and we went 1-0 up at half-time following Hegebo's close-range finish of Blomberg's low cross. Progress was secured for sure in injury time when a half-cleared corner was worked to Erlian, who pulled it back for Bassi to drill home inside the near post. We started well in this one, Matheson's long looping cross being well met at the far post by Erlian to open the scoring. 5 minutes later, a lovely reverse ball from Rasmussen found 16-year-old striker Nilsson Modebe, and he kept his head to score his first goal for the first team. The score stayed 2-0 until late on when, from a Rasmussen free kick, Hegebo rose to head home with power. 6 minutes later, he almost added another, his header from Erlian's corner hitting the post. Blomberg thrashed home the rebound though to make the final score 4-0. We were gifted lower league opposition in the quarter-finals and, after a foul on Otterson, Velez gave us the lead after 8 minutes from the spot to give an early indication of how this one might go. A superb ball over the top from Itegard Jensen was calmly finished by Hegebo to make it 2-0 on 20 minutes, and Stroman could see the writing on the wall. The big striker added a third only 4 minutes later, out-jumping the Stroman defence to head home Quiroz's cross. He completed his hat-trick not long before half-time, another great Itegard Jensen pass freeing Blomberg, who centred for Hegebo to tap home. Velez completed the scoring from the spot midway through the second half after Blomberg was brought down just inside the box. It took almost all of the first half for us to make the breakthrough in this one, Velez intercepting a pass and making his way to the edge of the area before firing across for Hegebo to convert. With just under 15 minutes to play, the points were made safer as, with all eyes on Hegebo as Matheson's cross came in, Rasmussen made a run and powered home a header to make it 2-0. Hegebo would score a second in injury time, timing his run well at a corner to make the final score 3-0. Erlian's free kick was clearly one from the training ground, as Itegard Jensen moved wide to retrieve it, crossing first time for Quiroz to stab home at the near post with less than a quarter of an hour gone. The fullback had one of his best games for us as, just after the half-hour mark, he drilled a low cross for, you guessed it, Hegebo to turn home. Rosenborg pulled one back early in the second half, Thorvaldsen diverting the ball past Weiss as he came to try and claim it. We held out though and even had a chance to make really sure of the points in injury time, when Muller-Wolf was adjudged to have been tripped in the area. It looked like Noah got the ball to be honest, and justice might have been served when Heltner Nilsson blazed wide from the spot. We embarked on another European adventure with a visit from Belgian side Ghent, and for most of the match it looked like we would be frustrated despite being far more threatening. Over 70 minutes were gone by the time Blomberg snagged the cross that Bassi had played behind him, turned and fired home the opener. That opened the floodgates and it wasn't long before Velez made the most of being given time to turn in the box to drive home a second. 3 minutes later, another shot from Velez, this time from outside the box, took a deflection and went in off the post to send us to Belgium with a comfortable lead to defend. We got off to a bad start, falling behind to Leite's edge of the box strike after just 7 minutes. We went in level at half the time though, as our 16-year-old starlet, Nilsson Modebe, applied a neat finish to Blomberg's cross. Diarra put Haugesund back in front from the spot after Leite was tripped up by Hjorteseth to give away a penalty. Try as we might, we couldn't get back on terms and were finished once and for all when Tunekti's low effort and injury time seemed to fool Weiss. So we got through July with 6 wins out of 7, but that lone failure has allowed Bodo Glimt to close the gap to just 2 points. We are into the semi-finals of the Cup though, and have a healthy first leg lead over Ghent in the Europa League. Let's see what August had in store. As you can see, Ghent mustered absolutely nothing in this one, despite dominating possession, as we cruised through 3-0 on aggregate. We got back on track in the league in this one with a little help from Lillestrøm's Ranga, who was sent off early in the second half for a two-footed lunge on Velez. We took the lead midway through the second half, Bergfinger's initial cross evading everyone but being rescued by Velez, who put it back into the danger area where Hjortaseth finished it off. The game was settled within 90 seconds of the 90 minutes being up when a Lillestrøm clearance fell to Heltner Nielsen, who charged onto it and crashed home a screamer from the edge of the box. This was a very even contest and it was settled early on, Rommen's free kick giving Go Ahead a 1-0 win and a lead to defend in Norway. Daniel Bassi started this one on the bench, but an injury to Blomberg saw him introduced with not even 20 minutes on the clock, and he made his presence tell almost instantly, drilling in a low shot from outside the box to open the scoring. By half-time, he and we had a second, a neat passing move setting him free in the box to finish first time into the corner. Zaza thought he'd added a third midway through the second half, but was flagged for offside, leaving Bassi's goals as the deciding factor. One down from the first leg, we simply had to score in this one, and we needed better efforts than Erlien's early attempt when, after good pressing by the winger, he fired disappointingly over. A few minutes later, Dahl Reitan floated a cross in that Jensen Vasberg met at the far post but couldn't keep down. We were kept quiet for over half an hour after that bright start and didn't threaten again until 5 minutes before the break, when Heltner Nielsen took the invitation to push into the box, but his shot was blocked by Rommens. Rasmussen thought he'd put us level on aggregate only for his header to be well held by De Lange. He cleared upfield, where we eventually recovered possession and started an attack down the right. Erlien played a beautifully weighted ball into the path of Hegebo, who did what he does best and levelled the tie just before half-time, although it was eventually credited as an own goal. With the first attack of the second half and their first action of note, Go Ahead re-established their aggregate lead, Edvardsson being given too much space to cross and Bertaccini heading home at the far post. It wasn't long before we were back on terms though. Jensen Vasberg picked up a clearance from a corner about 40 yards out and was simply allowed to keep running, eventually reaching the byline from where he pulled the ball back across for Bassi to finish at the near post. It was now very much game on, and Rommens tried to repeat his success in the first leg with another free kick, but this time the wall did its job. Shortly after the hour mark, Hegebo headed a corner from Erlien towards the base of the post, where De Lange scrambled it away, only for Heltner Nielsen to pull it back into the danger area where Norman Williamson fired home from close range to give us our first lead in the tie. The fight seemed to drain out of Go Ahead with that goal, and it was us that threatened to add to the scoreline, Ivazic heading over a late corner. We did have one late scare as Go Ahead forced a corner in the first minute of injury time, and Kuipers eventually found Zilikic all alone at the back post, but his rather tame header was fielded by Weiss to preserve our lead and earn us a place in the next round. It was back to the league, and this one gave the impression it wasn't going to be our day from the off. Menalo blasting Strømsgodset in front after 25 seconds. Things got worse just after the hour when the same player nodded the ball over our advancing back line for Gabane to nudge past Weiss for 2-0. Within 5 minutes it was 3-0, a ball over the top being latched onto by Roca, whose early shot caught Weiss flat-footed. Having fallen 3 behind to Strømsgodset's only 3 shots of the match, we attempted a late comeback, Helland closing the deficit with 20 minutes to go with a good header from a corner. 2 minutes later it looked like we might just salvage something when neat passing left Hegebo clear to slot home, but Strømsgodset's resolve stiffened and they held on for the points. We faced a trip to Edinburgh in the playoff round with a place in the league phase up for grabs, and things could hardly have started better when the informed Bassi fired across the keeper with less than a minute gone to give us the lead. Heltner Nielsen made it 2-0 shortly after the half hour, heading home Rasmussen's corner. Any thoughts of a comfortable night were dashed minutes later though, as Hibs pulled one back when Donis spotted Spadanuda's clever inside run, which he proceeded to finish with an excellent curling shot past Weiss. Just over a quarter of an hour from the end, Heltner Nielsen scored his second from a corner to give us a 3-1 lead to take home and high hopes of a place in the league phase. This was another game where we were forced to fight back to claim something. Opsahl giving Tromsø the lead in injury time at the end of the first half after we failed to deal with a corner. Heltner Nielsen was the hero for us again though, earning a share of the spoils with a lovely finish on 63 minutes. Any hopes Hibs had of clawing back their deficit were dashed when a well-worked move ended with Matheson's low cross and another Hegebo finish with just over 3 minutes played. The tie was truly done and dusted when Hegebo claimed another from just inside the 6-yard box shortly before the half hour, Quiroz providing the ammunition this time. Hibs did salvage some pride late on, Garcia's cross being headed home by O'Connor, but it was far too little, far too late, and we marched onto the league phase 5-2 on aggregate. This month's featured man is close season arrival Daniel Bassi. The right winger can flit in and out of matches, but in recent weeks he has been a regular scorer, netting 4 times in August. The chart shows that he provides plenty of ammunition from crosses, and as his cross completion percentage is amongst the best in the league, it doesn't seem to be his fault that he hasn't made an assist in his last 9 appearances. He clearly was setting his teammates up earlier in the season, and what he's lacked in assists he's replaced with goals of late, giving him an average of just over 1 goal involvement per game, the best in the country. A couple of disappointing results in the league has allowed Bodø Glimt to overtake us, as they have simply refused to drop points in the last 2 months. Europe though has gone better than we could have hoped, and we are into the Europa League phase and could earn some good money to help with improving the squad for next season. But we really would like to try and challenge for that title this season. With Bodø Glimt also in Europe and having to juggle the two, it could be our chance to claim a first title of my reign. The AI doesn't generally rotate quite as much as we do, so hopefully their best 11 will begin to tire and we can take advantage of any slip-ups. And that's it for this episode. Thank you very much for joining me. Like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye bye for now.